Hi there, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is our live stream for Taking Back Friday. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and the School of SweetGeorgia, and here we are talking about all the things that are going on behind the scenes at SweetGeorgia, at our dye studio, at our main studio here in Vancouver, and yeah, lots of things to share with you guys today. Lots and lots of things on my table here to talk about. Maybe one of the first things that I wanted to share with you is that we just recently celebrated our 19th anniversary for the dye studio, for the yarn part of what we were doing. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to talk about the Secret Stash reveal that's coming up. And I have some other things on my plate here that I'm going to share with you as well. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is that recently, one of my last videos that I made was about this crochet cardigan that I'm making. It's called the Jethro, and it's all full of all these colorful squares and everything like that. And all the squares have been done. I have joined all of the squares. I've taken the front pieces and I blocked them. The back piece is blocking. They're a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be. So each square with the five, oh, there's an echo. Let's change this microphone. Let me know if this one's better. Okay, so let's see if this microphone is better. But yeah, I have blocked everything, and all the pieces are blocking. All the pieces are turned out to be a little bit bigger than I thought that they were going to be. So the 5-inch crochet square that it was supposed to be is like 5.5. It's just a slightly little bit bigger. And so that is blocking. I'm going to see how that's going to all feel. But just yesterday, I zipped off a little sample. This is a swatch of the Superwash GK on the machine, it's a Silver Reed LK150. It's a mid-gauge machine, and this is great for sort of knitting DK weight. And so this sample, I just had to measure what the gauge is. And so you can see here, I've got these little strings here, these little strings of 8-2 cotton, and each of these strings has a number of knots in it. And so this string kind of tells me how tight I made my swatch. So the ones at the bottom here, below this little string, these are set at like dial number 3, these ones were set at dial number 4, and these ones were set at dial number 5. And so you can see it's a little bit tighter gauge down here, medium, and then at the top it's a little bit looser. And so I'm just about to measure what the gauge is for this, and this is going to determine how I knit the sleeves for that Jethro cardigan. So hopefully that will be done because I want to wear it next weekend. So it has to be done soon, because once the sleeves are zipped off on the machine, I still have to pick up and knit ribbing. And I'm thinking I would probably knit ribbing by hand at this point. So yeah, that's kind of a little quick update on what I've been working on. I have a couple of other videos that are coming out very soon. Next Friday, we're going to do a video about spinning gradient yarn from hand-painted fiber. And then the following week, I have a video that is all ready to go about sweater season and the next sweater that I'm going to work on after I finish this crochet cardigan. So it's kind of like, what is the next sweater? What's the next thing we're going to work on? So many things to share with you guys today. So let's go first to my slides here, and I can just kind of show you what we have going on today. So this is gone, and this one I have to move. There.
Okay, so this is what we have going on for today's session. You can see that's a little picture of my loom here. It's in the corner of my dining room. This is kind of what's going on right now, sort of for me. It's really actually a very lovely corner. Right now, this time of year, it's starting to get a little bit cooler, but it's still green, which is great. Like you can still see that there's green outside and stuff like that. And it's just a really nice spot to spend some time during the weekends and everything. So let's go on and talk more about what's been going on here. So the first thing that I wanted to share is that, yes, this past week, September 9th, is our 19th anniversary of the yarn company, the yarn business of SweetGeorgia Yarns. And so that is the day, like 19 years ago, when I started posting yarn on Etsy. And it just seems really, really crazy. But these are the photos of some of the very first things that I ever dyed. And so there's like some Polworth spinning fiber here. There's some 8-2 cotton. This is unmercerized cotton that I dyed with fiber reactive dyes. And then this is the spinning fiber here that shows up in this photo on this first section. But all the spinning fiber at the time, when I learned how to dye, I dyed it using plastic wrap, which is something that like I really wanted to avoid, and we've completely moved away from doing that. But this is how I initially learned how to dye, paint, and steam and set fiber. And so thankfully we've changed from that, but these are some of the things that I was learning at the very start. And then this one is silk. It's 100% silk that was dyed with natural dyes. And so these are all the things that we were learning about at the time. And yeah, it's been really, really fun, but I can't even imagine doing the things that we do without the help of other people. And so I'll show you, this is the first studio that we opened outside of my house. This is a space that was at 4th Avenue and Main Street in Vancouver. I found this space on Craigslist. It was like a quite a dream studio. And this is when it first opened back in like 2009. And it was very open at the time, but then gradually, as we spent a little bit more time, more time there, we spent about 3.5 years there. And the space became completely full, completely packed. I'm sure Teresa will remember working there. David was there, and yeah, it got quite full in there very quickly. But this is how it looked when it was initially set up. And it's so funny because we still have so many of these things. We are still using these same drying racks. We are still using this Ivar. We bring this Ivar to Knit City in Vancouver with us. I still have these two looms. I have two of the three looms. One of the looms was sold to another weaver here in Vancouver, but all of these things we just continue to do after all of these years. And so these are some of the more recent things that we have been dyeing in these past 19 years. And so there's like yarn that's been hand dyed, and then now we're looking at machine knitting things. These are yarns that were dyed for the school. This is yarn that was dyed for my book that came out a couple of years ago. And this is more yarn. This is all tough love sock yarn that was dyed for a course that we taught inside the school about how to weave with hand painted yarn. And yeah, I don't spend a lot of time celebrating milestones. And so these are always times where I have to like remind myself that it is kind of important to look back and see what you've done and see, yeah, see what you've done. Because I think about like if we've done all of this over the past 19 years, like what will we do for the next 19 years? What will we focus on? How will we spend our time? But like just looking back over these 19 years, it has been like very much this sort of progression of color. There's always been color. There's a lot of color, and it's always started off with lots of color, and it continued to be lots of color, and it even now continues to be a lot of color. So I think as I sort of envision this, looking forward to the next 19 years, I also envision quite a lot of color and enjoying color and learning how to dye color and all of these kinds of things. So, you know, as a way of trying to pause and celebrate the milestone, we thought we would open up our studio tomorrow, September 14th, Saturday, September 14th, for a bit of an open studio. So it's an open house tour. And so you guys are welcome. If you are in the Vancouver area, you're more than welcome to come and hang out with us. Normally on this second Saturday of every month, we open to the public anyways. We open for just, bring your knitting, bring your crochet, bring whatever you're working on, your spinning wheel, and then just hang out at the studio and then spin or hang out and knit or whatever it is. But tomorrow we're going to open the studio. We're going to do all of that, but we'll also have snacks and we'll also do a couple of tours. So at 11 o'clock in the morning and 1 p.m., we're going to do sort of a tour and walk you through the back side of the studio. There's kind of like a door that separates the front shop where all the yarn, the hand-dyed finished yarn is, and then there's a door and it separates to the rest of the studio. And so we'll be able to sort of walk you behind the scenes and show you a little bit about what the studio looks like in process. So right now it's like in this photo, it's this big open giant room, but it is not now. It is completely full of stuff and full of dyeing stuff and kitchen and all of that kind of stuff. So we'd be happy to show you that if you are able to come. Now you do have to RSVP for the tour portion just because the space is not huge. And so in order for us to bring everybody through, we need to make sure that we can handle that many people going through the studio. So in any case, if you would like to come, if you're in the Vancouver area, please do come and hang out. And if you want to see the tour, just RSVP. And Bridget has kindly put those links in the chat for you guys there so you can see them. Then the next thing that we wanted to talk about was the secret stash reveal. So this is a photograph of the outside of our dye studio. So one of the things that drew us to the space initially is the fact that this studio is right on the riverfront. It is right on the Fraser River. And so we do get a view of the river. It's really lovely sometimes. Sometimes it's calm. Sometimes it's super windy. Sometimes the tide is out. It's really interesting. Just every day is a little bit different. And then it's nice to be able to see this view of the river. And so this month for our secret stash, the secret stash is the colorway that we would create every month for our yarn. And so you can join this club. Every month you get either a new yarn or every quarter you get a new fiber. And so for this month, we are doing a yarn and spinning fiber is coming out this month as well for September. And so these yarns are inspired by the word riverfront. Now, the riverfront that it was inspired by was not actually necessarily the river that we're on at the studio. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about what it actually was. And so here is my picture. Okay. So riverfront references our annual camping trip that we have been going on since the kids were babies. If you have been in the club for a long, long time, you will know that like one of our early colorways that we created was one that was called Mountain Man. And that was the year that we took the kids camping for the very first time. And they were like 1 years old. They were just so young. Like they could barely walk, I think. And we're not campers. I was not raised going camping. My husband was not raised going camping. So we don't know a ton about camping. So we've been learning this whole time. And going on this trip, we go with a number of other families. And so all of us, we've all been learning about how to go camping over all of these years. And so this past year, we decided to go to this new place that is kind of has very few facilities, has very few amenities, and so it's right on the river. Our tents were literally right next to the riverfront, and so that's where this colorway kind of comes from. It's kind of like this idea of being able to learn and do hard things, and it's funny because we dyed this color and we created this colorway before we actually went camping, and so this photo of the river from camping. It's taken after we created the colorway, but now I want to show you the colorway because they look like they match, which is wonderful. It just like matched what I had in my mind. So this is our camping inspired colorway called Riverfront. And so this time around, we dyed it on sock yarn, but this is a single sock blank. So a single sock blank is a piece of fabric that has been dyed in a flat panel. I'm going to show you guys through here, might be easier. So this is the single sock blank. Okay, you can see it's dyed as a flat piece of fabric, but this fabric has been made on a knitting machine and it's been knit in a round. So it's a tube. And so when you go and you unravel this, it becomes one single strand of a yarn that will look like a gradient overall. So this will turn out to be a gradient if you go ahead and knit with this or crochet with this. The single sock blank I find is actually really, really easy to work with. It might have like some kinks to it as you are unraveling it. And so if the kinks bother you, then you can always wind this into a hank first and wash it. And all of the kinks will sort of come out of the yarn and it will be a lot smoother. And you can wind it into a ball afterwards and work with it like that. Or if you don't mind the kinkiness, you can also just work with it straight from the sock blank as is. Just unravel and work, unravel and work as you go with it. So that is one of the things that we have come out with this year or this month. And then the next thing that I wanted to show you was the spinning fiber one. So that one is here. So this is the spinning fiber. And again, dyed with the same colors. So kind of like these rusty oranges, mossy golds, all of those kinds of colors. We dyed it on a new fiber. It's called Trifecta. And so if you have been following along with what we've been doing for the past couple of months, we released this yarn, Trifecta yarn. It was a test kind of release. And we did this in July, I believe. And we did it with the Haystacks colorway. And so Trifecta, the idea behind Trifecta is that it's a combination of all of my favorite fibers that would combine together to make a really, really lovely, lovely sock yarn. So there is BFL in there is mohair in there is silk in there, those kind of like my three favorite together. And so that was made into yarn. And now we're going to make it into spinning fiber as well. So if you wanted to spin your own sock yarn or whatever you'd like to make, I mean, this fiber is lovely. It feels a little bit glossy almost in your hands. It's not like poofy or elastic or spongy or anything like that. There's something that is very sleek about it, but it's still woolly. It is not treated. It's not superwash treated or anything like that. So it's 75% Blueface Leicester BFL, 15% mohair, and 10% silk. And so this is going to work up beautifully into a number of different projects. So I have already a number of plans for this fiber. But I will show you what was made. So I'm going to show you first. This is the first thing that was created. So this is with the single sock blank. Charlotte basically took the single sock blank. You can see the single sock blank that we had here. And she crocheted a giant chain out of all of it. So she just like worked straight from the single sock blank and just started crocheting a chain. And so when you chaining up your yarn, you're going to triple up the thickness of that yarn. So going from a fingering weight yarn like this, and then chaining it together to triple it up and thicken it up to make a worsted weight yarn. And so you can see it's kind of like chain ply if you're spinning, if you know how to spin. It's kind of like chain ply. So you're tripling up that yarn. It's going to become thicker, but it's also going to kind of mix and blend a lot of the colors as it goes. And so then you can see the thing that was knit from this chained yarn is this amazing, amazing hat. So this is the Barley Hat pattern that is designed by Tin Can Knits. I believe this is a free pattern. Anybody can go download and make this, but this is made entirely from the chained single sock blank. And it looks so, so fantastic because the colors, the way they blend in here is so cool. They have this kind of rustic kind of, there's a little bit of modeling that's happening in here. It's just, I love this hat. This turned out amazingly well. Just, yeah, the color blending in here is just so great. And then like she added a little label here, a little Sweet Georgia tag on the hat, but it just turned out so, so well. And it's something that's so easy. You get to enjoy the yarn twice. You get to sort of take this entire single sock blank and chain it up and play with it one time by crocheting it all, and then taking all of that crocheted chain and then knitting it all. So then you're getting to enjoy all of it. Hand dyed single sock blank, crochet project, knitting project, and then you get this beautiful hat. And this turned out beautifully well. So thanks to Charlotte for making this gorgeous sample. I feel like it goes with what I'm wearing today. It's not even planned. But this is basically how the single sock blanket comes in your package. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's all nicely rolled up. And then so when you take this little label off of it, it will look like this. Ta-da! Now, with the spinning fiber, I have plans for the spinning fiber. You guys may know that October is Socktober. October is always when we talk about socks and knitting socks and spinning for socks and all of these kinds of things. And so because this fiber is so perfectly suited to making sock yarn, obviously I'm going to spin sock yarn from it. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to take this braid, and I was explaining my idea to Greta earlier yesterday, but I was going to split it in half. And then with one half of this fiber, I wanted to spin like a traditional 3-ply or traditional 4-ply yarn and have 150-gram skein of traditional 3 or 4-ply. And then with the other half, I was going to split it up and make like either a crepe yarn or a hauser yarn or something like that. These are all yarn structures that were taught by Rachel Smith in the class that we put on the School of SweetGeorgia. It's called spinning to knit socks, spin to knit socks, something like that, spinning to knit socks. And so all those yarn structures are in there. They're different from the traditional 3-ply or 4-ply. And so with these two different kinds of yarn, 50 grams of this, 50 grams of that, I was going to knit like on the knitting machine, on the cranking on the sock machine, crank one sock in one yarn structure and crank a second sock in a second yarn structure, and then compare the two. But then she was saying that that was maybe more thinking than necessary, and also that then I would have two socks that would feel different and look different and behave different. So why not maybe like just spin this all one way and then use the same fiber and then spin it a different way to make a second pair of socks. So that's double the spinning, but I will have two complete pairs of socks that will look like they match rather than one sock of this and one sock of that. So in any case, that is my plans for this particular project. I think that it's going to be super fun. It feels amazing in your hands, feels amazing to work with. But yes, spinning sock yarn. This is something that, yeah, I just love, love, love to do. So that is the fiber. Of course, you guys can still get, let me see here. I have a thing here. Yes, you can still get this fiber and the sock blank on our shop site. So if you go to shop.sweetgeorgiayarns.com, you'll be able to find sort of extras of this. If you're already in the club and you want like an extra bundle, you could also order extras. And so those are available for Secret Stash members, but you can join the Secret Stash at any time. And just as long as you join before the 15th of the month, you will be in line to get the next month. So October is coming out next. We have October yarn. It's all being dyed right now. And so October yarn, when that is ready, it will go out at the end of September, and then you'll receive it at the beginning of October. And so in order to get the October club, you just need to sign up by September 15th, which I think is this weekend, 13, 14, 15, I think Monday. I think soon. Today's the 13th, 14th, Sunday. So fiber and single sock blank this time. Yeah, if you haven't tried a sock blank, I really encourage you to try it. I mean, you can use this with color work, you can chain it up and then use it in a yoke, or you can use it in a yoke just like this. Yeah, so many things that you can do with a single sock blank. So that is that for the secret stash stuff. Um, yeah. And camping ended up being amazing. It ended up turning out great. Better than we expected, even though we did actually have to set up in the rain. There was one year we went camping, we were completely rained out. We woke up and it was torrential downpour, and we packed up in the middle of the rain and then like abandoned ship and went home. But this time we were like, we can do this no matter what, we can do this. And so we went and arrived, and it did start to rain. We still set up the tent in the rain and everything. And then it ended up being like a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It was hot one day, it was sunny, went for a hike. The kids all had a great time. And then they played so independently on the river, which is something like that's newer now. Every year they get a little bit older, a little bit more independent, and things just become, it's just different every year. Every year is different. So it has been fun to do all these things. Yeah. So the next thing that we want to share and talk about is about the School of Sweet Georgia. So the School of Sweet Georgia is something that, as you know, we have been developing since 2017. We've been working on this for a while now. And so every year, what we've been doing is we've been publishing and launching new courses. All of these courses are taught online. They're all video-based courses, and there's a number of people who teach them. So initially, when this whole school started, I was teaching dyeing classes, I taught a colored class, then I started to teach some color work knitting classes, and on and on and on, started to teach some weaving classes. And then we started to bring in a number of other instructors. So all instructors who are amazing at what they do. So we've had Rachel Smith from Welford Pearls. She's come in, she's woolen spinning. Diana Twist, Kim McKenna, Katrina Stewart from Crafty Jacks, a lot of spinning instructors, Amanda Wood, Laura Fry. We've had Jana Marie from Everly Textiles, and so she has come to teach tapestry. We've had crookback weaving. We've done so many courses. There's like over 100 courses now in the School of Sweet Georgia that you can use to learn about any of the fiber arts. And so the way that we've done this is you can subscribe either monthly or annually. A lot of people choose annually. It's a really, really great way to just become part of this community. But yeah, if you can subscribe either monthly or annually, and at this time of the year, we do this promotion called Back to School. And so if you use the code Back to School 24, then you'll get 15% off for your subscription as long as you are subscribed. So sometimes, you know, you'll get a discount for the first year or the first month or the first whichever cycle. But in this case, for the Back to School, you can get this discount and you keep it for as long as you are a member. And so we talk about this all the time. We have all this content in the school. And then the other massive part of the school is this community. So we have a lot of community features on the website where you can connect with each other. Lots of people, meeting lots of people from all over the world who are all multi-craftual makers, who people who are spinning and also knitting with their stuff or weaving with their stuff, learning to crochet. Like everybody's interested in lots of different crafts that have to do with yarn and fiber. And then you can also connect directly with the instructors, which I feel like is quite unique nowadays, to be able to like send a message to the instructor of the course and say, oh, you know, I was confused about this, or what do you think about this? And just have direct interaction and feedback with the instructors is quite special. So that has been great. And I mean, we have learned so much from observing and seeing these instructors teach these classes as we film. And then also, yeah, just seeing all of the things that members have created. Every month, we talk about the things that members have created and sharing a lot of those projects. So, yeah, if you've never heard of this, I encourage you to come and check this out. It's www.schoolofsweetgeorgia.com, and you can find us doing lots of things there. So these are photos from some of the recent classes that have come out or are coming out. And so this is a hat class that is from your hand spun. So it's working with your hand spun and spinning yarn to make a hat. And so that's with Rachel Smith. There's courses on color work with Andrea Rangel that we'll talk about in a minute. There's these spindle classes from Diana Twists. There's some other spinning classes from Kim McKenna showing you how to take one braid of hand painted fiber and transform it into 5 different ways, 5 different kinds of yarn. So there's lots and lots of things to learn if you would like to join us there. So here is the course that I was talking about with Andrea Rangel. And so this course is about designing stranded colorwork hats. She's going to teach a second class on designing stranded colorwork sweaters. But the first one is hats. And it's really to like get you started with this idea of trying to, learn how to swatch, make some swatches, make some color decisions, do some calculations, do some math, and then create your own pattern that fits you perfectly. And so you can see here in the photo, there's some color swatches, there's some samples that she was testing, and then this is the final hat that she produced out of that. And so this hat pattern is available now. The course is now launched and is all available. But I'm going to quickly show you some of the hats that have come out of that. So this is the hat from the actual course. And so you can obviously adjust this however you want. You can change the motif, you can change the colors, you can change, how you want the contrast color to show up. You can change the depth of the hat. You can change all sorts of things about the pattern. And so you can see here, these ones were all knitted by Greta. So Greta knit a whole bunch of these for her family, and they're all different colors. So taking, one skein of the deep cove, I think it is, and then one skein of, I can't remember which color, but the lighter color. So there's a lighter color and a darker color, and so you could do the opposite, right? So you have um, the main color being the light color in this case, and the main color being the dark color in this case. And you would have enough yarn to do both if you had one skein of each. And they are chess piece motifs. These chess piece motifs came out of one of Andrea's books. She has 2 books, Alternate, and she has a second book. And so these Knit Ovation. And I think these 2 books have motifs through the entire book. It's just all collection of different motifs. So these motifs came out of it, little chess pieces. Ah, thank you. Foggy Dew is the lighter color. And then these flowers, and these ones are little trees. There's so many. So I was looking actually at the books last night, and I've picked out my own little motifs. And yeah, you could choose to do this. This happens to be with BFL and Silk Fine. These hats were made, but you can use any other fingering weight yarn if you wanted to. You could use a sport weight yarn. You could use hand spun. The whole point is that because you are swatching and you're measuring your swatch and you're doing calculations, you can use any yarn. You can use whatever you want, whatever you have available to you. So yeah, thank you to Bridget for adding the details. Distant Trees is this one, right? Yes. Yeah, they work really, really well. And I mean, I feel like hats knit up faster than you think. Hats knit up really fast. Baby sweaters knit up slower than you think, but hats knit up actually really, really fast. So that is the Stranded Colorwork hats course that's come out, and the pattern and some project ideas out of that. The next thing we wanted to share is that we released a whole bunch of weaving patterns, all kind of like at once. And so you guys will know that I released 3 different weaving courses this past year in the school. One of them was about overshot. The second one was about crackle, and the third one was summer and winter. And the reason why all 3 of these courses came out in the same year is because they're all they're all related. They're all supplementary weft block weave structures, meaning that they all have like this ground fabric that is plain weave. So it's like you're weaving plain weave in the background. And then on top of that, you are sort of interspersing these extra pattern picks, these pattern weft picks of a different kind of yarn, like a contrasting kind of yarn. And that is what's creating pattern. That's what's creating the design that goes onto the fabric. And so this is 3 different ways of doing that kind of fundamental technique. And so one of them is summer and winter. We created these extra patterns to go with those courses. We've just released them all at the same time. So this towel pattern is called bitmap towels, and it's one threading, so it's like stripes in the warp, and then you go through and then you weave it, you treadle it in 3 different ways. So here are some of those samples. I'm going to show you this one. Is the first one. This one is a summer and winter towel treadled as singles. And then this is the same threading, and this is the same towel, but it's trebled as pairs. And so already there's like a little bit of a different kind of appearance between the two. And then this one is the most different one. This same threading, but it's treadled as dukkha. So it's also sometimes called columns. So you can see maybe the colors stacking up in a way. So there are 3 different towels that could be made. And then one of the points of this towel is that there's enough warp on this project to make 4 towels. And the idea of the 4th towel is it's like a choose your own adventure and create your own. And so our sample weaver, Leslie Green, who wove all of these samples for us, she decided that rather than switching colors and adding purple back into her weft for her 4th towel, she decided to use only the yellow, only the gold, and using only the gold and then altering the size of those blocks and things like that, she's created like a completely different looking towel. It's beautiful. And it's almost like there's no purple left in this towel because the yellow crosses over the purple in every single instance. And when they blend together, like you can see on screen, they look brown, they look kind of rusty gold. It's just really, really interesting, that whole color play. So again, going from a sample that like looks like this to a sample that looks like this. Very, very different. So lots and lots of things that you can do with something simple like this particular pattern for the bitmap towel. So this is the summer and winter towel set. So that pattern is available. The other pattern that's available is the pillow that I'm sitting on right now. This is the Hello Sunshine Crackle Pillow. So again, this is very, very easy. It's a warp that goes on your loom in sort of a light colored 8-2 cotton. And then you can put any sort of pattern weft that you want in there. You could use fingering weight yarn. You could use sock yarn. In this case, I used flax and silk fine for the pattern weft and then wove this kind of like modern looking uh, pattern. It's kind of modern looking design. And then you can just sew it up and make yourself a pillow with that. So that pillow is available as well. Crackle was the kind of the second course that we taught. And then coming to this one, this is the snowball table runners. So these runners, again, kind of trying to flip how overshot might look, but you can see that we're using a navy yarn for the background. So this is all navy plain weave in the background. And then you can see this design, oops, the design is this pink and there's white going through that. And those 2 colors, the pink and the white, are the pattern colors, the pattern weft colors. And so there's one big long warp and you can weave it 2 different ways. So you can weave one table runner that is with the star fashion, and then a second one that is rose fashion. And it's the same threading, it's just different treadling. It produces these 2 different effects. So this is one of them. This is a table runner for the star fashion one. It's beautifully done. You can see the drape in this too. It's really, really lovely. So that is one. These were woven by Vicky, who is in our school. You guys will know her as well. And then this is the rose fashion one. It's beautiful. They turned out amazing. So that is the snowball runner. So what I was going to say is because we've done these 3 courses this year, all on these block weave structures, we decided to do a bit of a study group, kind of like a focus on these particular weave structures for the next couple of months. So September, October, November, December, we're kind of focused on doing a lot of this block weaving. So some people are working on overshot, some people are working on crackle. Some people are working on summer and winter. For us at the studio, Charlotte and I are putting on a warp right now for overshot, and we're going to weave some scarves that have sock yarn in them. Some fingering weight sock yarn, hopefully, is the idea. So we have these meetings the beginning of every month, the second Monday of every month. And so that is October 7th and is the next one. And so we're meeting at 4:45 Pacific Standard Time. I know it's a weird time, but that's the time that works. And so Joan is asking how many shafts are required for all of these patterns. All three of the patterns that I've just shown are all 4-shaft patterns. So you can definitely weave summer and winter on 4 shafts. If you have more shafts and you have more blocks, but all of them, all of these, all of these patterns are like amazingly. This is 4 shafts, and so yeah, this is 4 shafts creates 2 blocks. This is 4 shafts. Crazy, right? I think it's amazing. And then my crackle. The crackle I wove on my Fanny loom at home, which is a 4-shaft counterbalance loom. So yeah, so many things are possible with just 4 shafts. You don't need to have like a big, huge, massive, fancy loom. You could do it with a table loom if you wanted to. So lots and lots of things that you can do. So that's our weaving group. If you guys are a member of the school and if you want to weave and join us for these conversations, you're more than welcome to join us for those. The next thing I wanted to highlight and mention is that Greta also hosts a monthly meetup for members in the school to talk about fiber prep. And so they have been going down a bit of a rabbit hole on rollags and making rollags, blending colors to make rollags, different ways of making the rollags, different ways of spinning rollags, what's people's experience been with actually spinning the rollag. Does it feel like it's all falling apart? Does it feel like the middle is coming out? There's a lot of things to learn about that one particular technique. So if you would like to join Greta for those meetings, she meets on the 4th Monday of every month at 5 p.m., also on Zoom. So you're more than welcome to join. It's a really friendly group. Everybody is like very encouraging, and it's just enthusiastic, which is always really great to see. Everybody so excited about this fiber and the blending of fiber, making rollags, seeing the beautiful things that come out of it. So that is available if you guys are interested also in learning about fiber prep. So the last thing I wanted to mention, I think it's the last thing, is that we have been hosting this multi-craftual maker group in our Discord server. And so the Discord is available for anybody in the community, anybody who wants to talk about making stuff and making all different kinds of stuff. So if you're knitting, crocheting, weaving, spinning, dyeing, tapestry, all of those things are welcome in this multi-craftual group. Now, part of the idea of the multi-craftual group is that you're taking something that you make in this end and then you're transforming it into something else. So whether that's like hand dyed fiber that then becomes hand spun yarn that then becomes something that you crochet or knit or weave or something like that. So it's kind of like looking at that transition between different things. So the focus that we did a couple of months ago was to take spinning fiber and spin fractal yarns. And so we see all the fractal yarns that people have been making, all the different ways that people have been breaking up their fiber and making fractal yarns. The next thing that we're going to be focusing on is gradients, and then taking your hand painted or hand dyed fiber, breaking that up, and then spinning gradients out of that. And so these are just snapshots of some fiber that I am currently preparing for spinning. This is BFL and silk fiber on in the photo here, and it's in the Trail Runner colorway. And so I've been breaking this up, and I'm going to sort of prep it into little bundles. You can see my little bundles are here. I am not making rollags. I am actually taking all the fiber, sorting it into colors, and then putting them on hand cards, and then pulling them through a diz to make these really beautifully prepared and blended little bumble, like they're little nests of fiber. And so you can see like some of the nests are mostly purple, some of the nests are purple and blue, some of the nests are purple, blue, and green, some of them are green and blue, and so on and so on and so on. And so the idea is that when I go and I spin all of these nests sequentially, that I will be producing a gradient through my yarn, and then I'll be able to knit that into a project. And so I'll talk about that project coming up later. But yeah, you could use one of your fibers if you have any, and then spin your own gradient yarn and look at what could you use that gradient yarn for. Um, like we've shown a couple of examples, right? You could take a gradient yarn if you're gradient hand spun, and you could knit yourself a hat out of a worsted weight like this. Or if you had a gradient fingering weight and you wanted to maybe make the main body of your hat could be gradient hand spun, and then maybe the motif could be a light colored yarn or something like that, just a contrasting kind of yarn. So there's lots of different ways that you could think about using a gradient in your work. I've also done gradients as part of like the yoke of a colorwork sweater. And so that's what I'm thinking a lot about these days. You could do gradients and then knit them into socks. So this is kind of like the Trail Runner colorway that I was showing. This one happens to be dyed on a different fiber blend. This is a fiber blend that I created custom, um, trying to blend some Shropshire in and seeing how that works. So that is like a little bit of a test, but this is the same colorway as well as the thing that I'm working on right now. So yeah, if you're interested in sort of joining us for this kind of spin along and chat about what you're making in terms of gradients and things like that, we do have a group where everybody is talking about all of this stuff on Discord, and you can just find us there. And then we are going to meet on Monday evening at 5 p.m. on Zoom and share a little bit about progress and all that kind of stuff. And then I have a video coming out next week talking more about spinning these gradients. But if you would like to come and join and show us what you're making as well, I would love to see you guys there on Zoom on Monday night or on Discord. And finally, we're going to do a giveaway for one of these braids of that BFL and silk fiber in the Trail Runner colorway. And so that is the exact braid that I am preparing right now. So if you would like to enter, there is a little function to enter on that page. It's the show notes page for this live stream today. So you can go there. It's sweetgeorgiayarns.com/September 2024 Taking Back Friday Live, and you can get there. And um, wonderful. See that Bridget is popping links in the chat for you guys. So that is great as well. Thank you. So the last thing I wanted to mention is that last month we talked about the podcast and we wanted to do the podcast, and the podcast is coming back. And yes, we want to do the podcast. This month is a terrible month for launching the podcast. It's just been super, super crazy busy with preparing for a lot of things, including preparing for my trip where I'm leaving next week to go teach for the Vogue Knitting live retreat in Sun River. And so everything is kind of like around preparing for that right now, preparing the teaching and the presentations. And so the podcast has been sort of delayed a little bit. We've recorded a bunch of episodes, but I want to make sure that everything is in line before we start releasing things out into the world. And so I am always looking for ideas for people that you would like to see us interview or talk with, people that you would like to see sort of, yeah, like who is interesting to you right now? Who do you find inspiration in right now? I'm constantly looking for people in this community that would be interesting for you to listen to and who you would like to learn from. And so, yeah, feel free to message me or put actually in the comments here. Just leave in the comments or in the chat some names of people that you would be interested to hear from. And then we can reach out and see if we can get them on this channel and do a little bit of an interview with them as well. So, yeah, excited to see how that all comes together. But we're looking forward to sharing some of these conversations with you soon. And finally, these are some of the places that you guys can connect with us. This is just a reminder of the places where you can find us. There's Discord, there's the Instagram, we're here on YouTube. Our SOS forums, the School of SweetGeorgia community forums, is very, very active, and a lot of very deep conversations going on over there. So you can find us there. We have our SOS meetups, which happen on these Mondays on Zoom, and more things coming out on the blog all the time. There's been a number of recent articles that have come out that have been really, really great. There's one on knitting abbreviations and how to read knitting charts by Ruth. And there's a number of other posts that are coming out very, very soon as well. So yeah, I hope that you guys can find us there. And then the last picture is the picture of the thing that's on my loom right now, or just coming off my loom right now. And this is some weaving that I'm doing for a class that's coming out in November about hand painted warps for the school. And so that will come out soon. Excited about that. But you can find that's the address for our studio. That is all of the contact information for where you can find us. And so, yeah, just a reminder that if you are in the Vancouver area, we would love to see you tomorrow at our open studio. So we are open from 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And 11 o'clock is when we're going to start doing tours, and you can come and hang out with us. My goal is to bring my circular sock knitting machine here tomorrow, and I'm going to crank some socks. I'm going to crank some contrasting heels and toes socks with this yarn. This is the Beachside Brunch in Tough Love Sock, and I think this is lupine. So contrasting heels and toes. I'm going to do this tomorrow on the CSM at the studio, and yeah, hope to see you there. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for supporting us for the past 19, 20 years as we do all of these things and as we enjoy color and texture and yarn and making things. It's really honestly very much a dream job to be able to do this, to continue to be able to make things and talk about them, take pictures of them. It's just kind of unbelievable that we get to do this. And so I just have so much gratitude for all of you guys showing up here today to listen to all this and to see the projects and to make the things and to, work with the yarn, and just so much gratitude to the entire team of everybody here who makes all of this possible, make this room possible, make everything here just make it work. So thank you guys all for being here. I will see you guys in the next one. We'll meet again next month in October, and we'll talk about Socktober, obviously, during that month. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye for now.